If you're new to the game, just reached level 50, or you're only a couple hundred levels in, then these loadouts are for you. And today, we're focusing on Commando. Now, the main difference between a low or mid-level character compared to a high-level character basically comes down to the legendary perk cards. You unlock your first legendary perk card slot at level 50 and your last slot at level 300. And of course, you have to then spend perk coins to upgrade them, and it's these that can really affect your overall loadout, just because generally players go for a couple of legendary cards that boost specific special stats, which give you more perk points to use in your actual loadout. So today I'll be covering commando builds which utilize only one legendary perk card slot, which you can unlock, of course, when you reach level 50, so a very minimum loadout, which then you can build upon as you level up and get access to more legendary perk cards and get them upgraded. Now I've got 3 different loadouts to go over, but the first commando loadout is a bloodied stealth commando. Now why bloodied? Well, it's not necessarily for the legendary weapon effect, it's more so for the legendary armor effect, being unyielding, which boosts your special stats the lower your health is. Hence, bloodied, it then just pairs very nicely with the bloodied legendary weapon effect, and because you're low health, it pairs nicely with stealth to keep you hidden and alive, and they all just synergize very nicely. Now, the weapon I was using here was the Elder's Mark, which is the #1 commando weapon that I would recommend at the moment. You can get it as a potential reward from the Beasts of Burden public event over in the Cranberry Bog region. I, of course, modded this to be a bloodied VATS-focused role. So I changed the first star to bloodied, vital for the second star, and VATS optimized for the third star. What you can eventually do as well is for the 4th star, put on pinpointers to get even more damage out of it, but it's not required, but just something to keep in mind for future upgrades. If you don't currently have access to Elder's Mark, then a fixer or a handmaid with a similar role will serve you well in the meantime. The armor doesn't really matter at all what you go with, as long as it's an unyielding set. That's what really matters. I had a full Secret Service set here, which you can chuck a jetpack on, but you can do that with some other sets as well, like the Civil Engineer or Brotherhood Recon. Just make sure it's unyielding. I never change my mutations per build, I just keep them the same no matter what build I'm using. But if you're new or haven't really done anything with your mutations yet, then I'd recommend focusing on ones like Adrenal Reaction, Bird Bones, Marsupial, Egghead, and Speed Demon. Now, as you can see from the footage, you'll be dealing with enemies no problem. For something like level 100 super mutants, 2 to 3 shots and they're down. Enemies like your behemoths, which have been buffed recently and are way more tanky, will need more than the 2 to 3 shots, but you'll get through them easily with this loadout as well. Nothing is really going to be standing in your way, even in endgame content like the raid. While I wouldn't recommend the bloodied approach for everyone, it's highly effective and you'll be dishing out really good DPS. Now, for the actual loadout itself, this can vary slightly depending on how much stuff you like carrying on your character. So in strength, for example, I have a bunch of weight reduction perk cards for chems, ammo, and weapons. If you don't need these, or one of them in particular, you can change it out for other cards instead, like blocker for more survivability, or for more damage from other cards like easy target, etc. Perception is an important stat for this build. We have Number Cruncher for increased damage based on how much our AP costs, Tormentor for more damage against cripple targets, Tank Killer for our armor penetration, Center Masochist if you're aiming for the torso, and Awareness for more VATS accuracy. Endurance, we have Starch Genes, which is important for our mutations, Fireproof for survivability, as well as Ironclad, and then Thirst Quencher, increasing our AP. In Charisma, we have Tenderizer for more damage, and Lone Wanderer because we're running solo at the moment. If you're on a team, then take off Lone Wanderer and use Inspirational and Stranger Numbers instead. Intelligence, we have Nerd Rage because we are bloodied, so we get that damage and AP boost there, and then Gunsmith for weapon durability. Agility is our most important stat. We get a bunch of damage boosts here from our stealth cards like Covert Operative and Mr. Sandman. Sneak and Escape Artist are there for our stealth as well. Action Girl and Packing Light for our AP regen, and then Adrenaline for more damage on our kill streaks. Luck, we have a couple of cards mainly for VATS critical damage, so better criticals, and then 4-leaf Clover. Serendipity for our survivability, and Class Freak for our mutations. Legendary perk cards are empty except for one, and I went with Follow Through here since we are a stealth build, so that's the one I'd recommend picking up first if this is the build that you want to follow for your pretty much level 50 character. And that's our bloodied stealth commando setup. Now, our next build and loadout is very similar, but with a key difference. and it is a full health stealth commando build. So the main difference here, of course, is that we're not bloodied, so bloodied and unyielding are both changed. Everything else stays very much the same with just some slight adjustments. For our weapon, we swap bloodied to anti-armor instead. Just as a side note, you can also use anti-armor on the bloodied build in case you don't have access to bloodied mod. For the weapon, it essentially performs the same. They've always been very much on par with each other. Bloodied can just go a bit further with the correct setup, and anti-armor, of course, is more versatile since it's not locked to particular thresholds. Our armor, I just swapped to a full weightless set so it doesn't weigh very much, but for even more survivability, you can go for an overeater set instead. There's a slight change up in the perk card loadout. We mainly take out specific bloodied cards, so no more Nerd Rage in Intelligence and Serendipity in Luck instead. We boosted better criticals in Luck and added in Ricochet for some survivability. And then in Agility, we added in Gunslinger instead of Sneak, just for some more damage, and that's also something you can do in the previous build if you want more damage instead. Performance is very similar. The main difference is that your special stats aren't as high, so you have less AP and VATS won't feel as good with a bit less accuracy. Your intelligence will be slightly lower, so you'll get less XP and a slight damage drop, but for the most part, it performs the same. You can get those 3-shot kills on the level 100 super mutants like before. The behemoths will be dealt with. The big thing is that you just have a way more survivability because you're full health, so it's much easier to survive, and especially in endgame activities like the raid. So you get less special stats and a damage drop, but vastly more survivability. The third loadout is a full health, non-stealth commando build, so we get rid of stealth and we get rid of that. So this is a loud, up close and personal, free aim build. As for the Elder's Mark, the only change that I made to the base version of it is changing out the second star to explosive bullets, but we keep Furious and Swift, which is what it comes with as standard. As for the loadout, this is where the most changes will happen. In Perception, we get rid of the VATS cards, so instead of card like Awareness, we now have Ground Pounder for increased reload speed and accuracy. Because of our explosive bullets, we now have Demolition Expert in Intelligence, and in Agility, we swap out the Stealth cards for the Onslaught cards, which work with Furious very nicely. So we have Gunslinger Expert and Gorilla Master, as well as the base Gunslinger card. The rest pretty much stays the same. Legendary perk card, you can choose what you want. Follow through is stealth focus, so instead you could go for something like Funky Duds for poison survivability, which is used in plenty of activities in the game. Expeditions, mutated events, daily ops, the raid, Funky Duds comes in use in all of those, and it's definitely one of the go-to legendary perk cards. But for this loadout and playstyle, you very much just want to go crazy. Furious builds up those onslaught stacks, and that's what gets you your damage boost. So once you've built up those stacks, then you're going to be outputting a lot of damage. Aim for the weak spots or just center mass. It's very effective, lots of fun. You don't have to worry about VATS or stealth. You have plenty of survivability. I do like this loadout quite a bit. You can even adjust it slightly if you want a bit more of a hybrid stealth approach. Chuck in follow through and some cards like Covert Op or Mr. Sandman instead of the onslaught ones, and you get a bit of both worlds then basically. But hopefully one of these loadouts helps you out. It doesn't matter if you're low or mid level, you can still have really high DPS and a very effective build to use. But let me know if you'd like to see other versions for heavy gunner or melee, etc. But for now, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.